Just before Netscape that you were talking about, like when that happened, that changed the world. But when we hooked up again for this conference, there was no Netscape yet. It was May 1994. So it's 20 years.
And when did Netscape come out?
95, the fall of 95 is when it hit for us, really.
Okay. So in 1993, the first browser gets invented. I think it was called Mosaic. But there's no Netscape yet, meaning that there is no generally available free browser that millions of people around the world are connecting up with. That didn't happen until 1995. So in 1994, probably the beginning of 1994, maybe before that, you and I hook up, and you're this guy who has been already doing a lot of the connectivity that my colleagues and I are talking about. Sure, once everybody gets a browser and everybody can connect with all of this digital stuff, you know, it'll be really fantastic. It's going to change the world. But you were just a guy working in the television industry.
Well, we were
that had
video
a
conferencing.
truck.
Well, we were video conferencing or satellite. That was our mode of interacting, was being able to connect with people. Was video? That was telephone lines, right? Stuffing video down telephone lines.
Right. So Keith Holding comes up to me and says, we're going to do a conference and we're going to send it up to the satellite and we're going to connect everybody. And what we're going to talk about at the conference is all this incredible stuff that's coming down the pipe that nobody knows what it is, but it's really cool. And the thing about your ideas that totally touched me directly was that you're also a musician, you're also an artist, and you could see that the value of this was not just military, that the value was not just selling pizzas, that would be probably part of it, but that this could be a great stimulation to ideas and creativity. And you wanted to have this conference, which you helped animate, called Culture and Convergence.
It's Culture, Technologies, Convergence, but I have to give the credit. It was Derek Kirchhoff who initiated it from the McLuhan program, and Alberta Noakes, who came in really as the organizer, and then I came in as the technical producer, but also I was a filmmaker. We documented everything, and I hooked up everybody for the conference. So I got every internet connection and the satellite connections and the video conferencing. Like, we were hooking up. Again, somewhere in Europe, we hooked up with the Batham Shoe Museum, and so we brought a shoe that one person had from the Batham Shoe Museum here in Toronto, and somebody in Italy or somewhere, and we did a digital hookup during one of the days, I think out at the Opera Company. We were at the AGO, and there was virtual reality guys, and there was, as I say, museum curators and designers and Bruce Mao and like all these different kind of people that were designing using 3D rendering tools. Like, everybody was trying to figure out how they were going to plug into this thing to be able to communicate with their friends and business associates. As you say, it was like pizza guys weren't really thinking about that back then. And it is always the artist. You bring up the point that my eagerness to get was because of my artistic sensibilities, I think, and I think for yourself as well.
Well, as I recall, did you try that dance thing at that conference, or was that at a different conference?
That was in '88.
That was 1988.
88
wow.
When we tried it first, and then we did it again when we did Cyber. We'll get to Cyber Soiree, which to me was that was the highlight in my career.
Okay, well, when we get you in front of the camera, I'll ask you some more questions, because you're just on audio now, and it's not the right time to.
Well, and that's what I think. What it is, it's the individual interviews, and I think maybe there is a time where we get to the coach house, and maybe I'll get Bongo and a couple of cameras, and
they'll get both.
We'll get us, and maybe Derek, or we'll see who else we can pull into the story.
Maybe Derek, maybe even Ron Becker or somebody like that.
Yeah, I don't know Ron, but.
Oh, so Ron was actually kind of fundamental in this stuff.
Was he?
Actually, Ron would be the guy that introduced me to Derek de Kirchhoff, because Ron Becker was the head of the University of Toronto's Knowledge Design something institute. You know, computer science. So he was a real tech head.
Well, that's the interesting thing about what the, you know, where we came into, because it was the merging. Like you talk about convergence. Like that was the convergence. It was the artists coming together with the technologists, and some people like us, we were built into one body, but there was people, some of our friends that came in, they were just purely the artists, right?
Right.
And some of our friends that we brought in were purely the technologists. And then some of the ones were the critical thinkers.
Right.
Like the guys like Derek. He wasn't really the artist, he wasn't really the technologist, but he had a great mind, and he had a way to connect to people too, and that's what. So I give him, it's his credit for the culture technologies convergence, which he brought you and all those other people. I'll have to give credit where credit is due in that. But I helped facilitate and put the conference on and made it all function. And so everybody could connect and could do their presentations and could do their thing. And I documented it all. Which is why we have something that we can share now in terms of our stories.
What's Noak's first name again?
Alberta.
Alberta, yeah. Okay, so Derek de Kerkhoff, let me start again. So Derek de Kerkhoff and Alberta Noakes come up with this conference about culture and convergence and technology. And Keith Holding becomes the guy to make it work. And I get approached by these people at York University and say, we're doing a conference, will I talk about something? And I said, sure, easy, why not? And it turns out to be a really fantastic conference. It was very prescient, it was very ahead of its time. And it used the existing technologies, which were not yet available to people, mostly satellite links of video and telecommunications, messaging and all of that kind of stuff. And a lot of government people, a lot of industry people, and a lot of people at universities and young people and artists attended and had their minds blown. It was a taste of the future at a time that nobody was doing it. It's like somebody said at the time that all of this digital technology is like teenage sex. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody says they're doing it, but actually almost nobody is actually doing it. And that's what it was like. Everybody just it was in the air. It was a very cool thing to happen, but people weren't actually performing the acts.
But they were dreaming about it though. And that's what we got from the conference, and especially at least guys like yourself came across, and I think you got if I recollect, I remember one of the lines that I put in the film was that you said it doesn't matter. There's going to be the telecommunication, like the telephone companies. There's going to be the cable companies, and it's all going to be integrated.
Yeah.
Right. That's what you were saying.
Right.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Were you right?
Yeah.